Welcome, welcome, and hopefully welcome back. So if you're rejoining us, then you know that we've spent the last few weeks architecting your model, your tech, and your customer flow. And now we arrive at a part where growth becomes real delivery. And if you're joining us for the first time, welcome. And this session is going to be about scaling how you serve, not just how you sell. So when we break, what we see where most companies break isn't in that product, it is in the delivery. It's the moment when the customer experience can't keep up with demands, and suddenly your success starts to feel like chaos. So today we're going to talk about how to grow without breaking your promise, how to build systems that let you deliver with excellence again and again, whether you're serving 10 customers or 10,000, right? So I want you to think of this as the moment where your business graduates from hustle to infrastructure. And why that's important is because scaling isn't about doing more, but scaling a business is about delivering better, repeatable processes. So, for anyone new to our sessions, let me take a moment to reintroduce who we are. Copper and Vine, we're a strategy and systems design studio founded in 2015. We exist for founders who are ready to build responsibly and ready to build in a large way, those who want to grow fast and with integrity. We operate at the intersection of strategy, culture, and technology, helping founders turn their big vision into systems that actually scale. We're founder centered, meaning our work aligns with leadership and your pace. We're outcome driven, so we're focused on helping you achieve stability, achieve efficiency, achieve readiness for growth. And we're compliance first. That means we believe in speed. Speed means nothing if we can't sustain it ethically and securely. So we focus on compliance. And if you'd like to explore how we do this in practice, you can scan the QR code on the slide and it takes you directly to our Founder Resource Hub and upcoming sessions calendar. All right, so everything we teach here, including today's session, it comes from 20 years of us building and rescuing scaling companies, right? Really messy kinds. And we hope that what we've learned can create best practices. So I'm excited to teach you some of our best practices today. So I'm Rakia Finley. I get to be founder, technologist, and coalition architect. My background is in systems design and in technology strategy, but my passion is helping founders build responsibly with both ambition and empathy. So I've spent the past 20 years working across sectors from youth protection and government innovation to AI and digital health. So my work has really spanned from global partners like the U.S. Embassy, Arizona State University, Paramount Global, all the way to grassroots founders launching their very first platforms. And I'm telling you this for one reason, because everything I teach in this series is built from experience in both chaos and in clarity. I've seen what happens when companies scale too fast without systems, and what happens when founders have the courage to slow down and design right infrastructure and then scale, but they get to scale with confidence. That's the heart of today's session. And I'm excited to kind of help you turn what may feel like chaos right now into clarity before growth forces it on you. Okay. So before we dive into frameworks and formulas, I want to start with a story about what this actually looks like in practice. So this is our turn. This is our wellness technology platform built by Copper and Vine, and it's meant to help bring. We've moved it from concept to market. So the mission of our turn is simple, but I like to think it's pretty powerful, and that is to change how the world gets loved on. So when our turn came about, it was really about an early inflection point about the product was validated, investors were circling, and operations were completely dependent on a founding team. And every new user, if we would have left it like that, would have meant another spreadsheet, it would have meant another manual onboarding email, or would have meant another late night. So when we built our turn, we were building a scalable delivery system before growth demanded it. So we mapped core operations, right? We automated onboarding and customer communications, and we designed infrastructure to handle thousands of users without adding chaos to the platform or the business structure. And what that allows us to do with our turn, it's in market right now. You can scan that QR code to download it if you're interested, is our turn onboarded over 1,000 users in just 2 weeks with zero support tickets. We still to this day have not had a support ticket for our turn. Not because it had a big team, but because we have a strong system built within our turn. And that's the shift I want you to make today if it's an opportunity to make it. And that's scaling delivery, right? And that scaling delivery isn't about just doing more work. Scaling delivery is about designing smarter work that grows with you. So you can scan the QR code, you can explore our turn story, and you can kind of see what happens when delivery is built with clarity and care from very beginning. That's what our turn can kind of showcase. All right, so now let's talk about how you can build that same kind of delivery intelligence. So what I assume, just based off of our work and who we get to help, is likely you've spent the last few weeks doing deep work. You've spent the last few weeks clarifying your vision or validating your idea or building your business model. And congratulations, like that's amazing. You should feel very proud of what you've done. But now we want to move into the part that decides if all that effort actually pays off, right? Can your business deliver what it promises at scale? So this is the moment where founders really have to shift from being creators to being architects. So you've built something beautiful, but now it has to hold weight. It has to carry customers, it has to carry revenue, it has to carry a team growth without collapsing under its success, right? So you want to think of this like a bridge. On one side is your business idea or your product idea or your startup idea. And on the other is your impact, right? You want to move from idea to impact. And the structure in between are your systems, your processes, your delivery. It's what decides whether people can actually cross, whether they can cross over from experiencing your idea to it having impact. So scaling delivery is about building that bridge before the traffic starts. Because once the crowd is already on that bridge, it's a bit too late to strengthen the structure. And what we tend to see is our clients come to us during the time where this bridge wasn't built, and they're spending a lot of time that they could have spent in market fixing this structure. So before we build momentum, we really want to get real about what tends to break first. So here's the truth that every founder eventually will learn, and that's that growth breaks what hustle built. So the same systems that made you successful early, right? The same systems that made you feel like you are really doing well. What I'm here to tell you is that they can't sustain you at scale. So your spreadsheets, your heroics, your late night improvisations, they all worked because the business was small enough to bend to you. But when you start scaling, when your customer count doubles, when your team grows, and your deliverables multiply, those quick fixes start to snap. And it's not because you're doing anything wrong, right? It's because every system has a weight limit. The hustle that once made you agile eventually becomes what holds you back. And this is the invisible cliff most founders kind of fall off, that gap between startup and scale. So our goal today is going to be to build the structure that closes that gap so you can move from heroic effort to intelligent design, right? From reacting to leading how your business delivers. So here's something I want every founder to take in from this, and that's your systems don't break from success. A lot of assumption is that our systems broke because we were just so successful and our product was just flying off the shelves and our system broke, right? No, your systems break because they break from complexity, right? So most people think growth breaks their business because they got too big too fast. That's not true. What actually happens is that small inefficiencies, little gaps, manual processes, we'll fix it later, right? Those little decisions, they start compounding. So one new client adds a few more steps. One new team member adds another layer of communication. And suddenly the system that used to feel flexible now feels fragile. Complexity, not success, is what silently erodes delivery quality. So if you don't catch it early, it doesn't just slow you down. What you'll find is it's going to break your reputation. Okay, so let's look at what this feels like through Maya because she's kind of about to hit her breaking point. All right, let's check back in with Maya, who we've been working through. And again, Maya, we've built as an example of what most of our clients come to us as and what we get to bring them out of. Though we utilize Maya as our perfect example, what she really showcases is what we at Copper and Vine see every day. So right now, Maya, if you remember, she has her SaaS platform up because she managed her ICP. She figured out some of her systems. She got her MVP out, and now her SaaS platform's running and it's doing well, right? She's actually doing about 480K in annual revenue, right? And she's got an 8-person team now. So her product is solid. Her customers love it, right? She is doing well. We're really happy. And you're like, well, your picture doesn't say that, Rakia, right? So now Maya landed her first enterprise client, a B2B contract with 1,000 leaders, her users, that are going to be put on her platform. So overnight, Maya is going to grow to 1,000 users. What felt like success slowly is going to become chaos for Maya. Now, Maya built a successful business. Her product worked. Her customers were happy. And she finally landed her first enterprise contract. But when the contract hit, right, when 1,000 users signed on in a single week, what she found is her entire systems fell apart. Her small team was suddenly juggling onboarding spreadsheets, email threads, and manual updates. No one knew which customer were fully onboarded, which were stuck, or which had canceled. And here's the truth. Maya wasn't failing because of lack of effort. She was working, right? She was failing because her delivery system was never built to handle the weight of success. That's the reality for most founders. You don't realize what's missing until the cracks start showing. And those cracks, right? Those cracks, they always show up the same way. They're always going to show up through burnout, through missed opportunities, and through unhappy clients. So this is the part kind of no one really prepares you for. When your growth becomes the thing that overwhelms you. Maya describes, right, or our clients that are like Maya really describe this moment as drowning in your own momentum. Every day feels like a fire drill, drowning in your own momentum. Her inbox was full, her team was reactive, and her customers were slipping through the cracks. And if you've ever been there, you know that feeling when you're too busy keeping up to step back and fix what's broken. But this is where delivery intelligence begins. Not when you're calm, but when you realize you can survive another growth spurt like this one. So, what did Maya do? She did what great founders eventually do. She stopped reacting and she started designing, right? So, Maya made a decision where we tend to see most of our clients avoid, and that's she hit pause, right? She stepped back and said, if this business is going to keep growing, it needs to grow with me, not through me. And that's the challenge I want to get you to say. So if you have anything in your business right now that you feel like can only exist if it grows through you, right? Then I challenge you today to figure out how to shift that to make it in a way where it grows with you. So she mapped her entire delivery system, everything from lead to onboarding to renewal. She identified what could be automated, what required human care, and where her time was being wasted. And once she saw it laid out, something shifted, right? She realized that scaling delivery isn't about doing more, it's about doing smarter. Her goal became simple. It was to design a business that could deliver the same quality experience at 10, 100, or 1,000 users and customers on her platform without sacrificing care and consistency. What I just shaped is the request and goal that most of our clients have with us by the time they hit copper and vine. They have something, but if they keep going this way, they know that everything's going to break from under them. So the only way to do that is to figure out how you can stop and pull back and then get honest about what's not working that you will need to get these 1,000 customers across that bridge. So, and that's exactly what we're going to learn how to do today. All right, so let's unpack this. So when we're talking about rebuilding a business, right? We're not just going to fix what's broken. We're going to build a system that can think, adapt, and grow. And I see this as a pain point a lot of founders do. We have this one bottleneck, let's just fix this bottleneck. But just fixing that bottleneck is not addressing how you're going to continuously think, adapt, and grow your company. So that system is what I like to call the delivery intelligence loop, the thing that lets you think, adapt, and grow. So every company that scales successfully, whether it's SaaS, service, or hybrid, cycles through these 4 stages again and again, right? Foundation. So that's where you build structure, where you define ownership, right? Delivery. That's where execution meets experience. Optimization. That's where insights are going to fuel automation. And scale. That's where predictability is going to create freedom. So every growth stage is going to really demand a different operational rhythm. What worked at 10 customers won't work at 100, and definitely won't work at and won't work at 1,000, right? And what failed at 100 will fail at 1,000. So, but if you can master this loop, if you know how to strengthen each phase before the next growth wave hits, your company never has to rebuild again. It simply evolves. So let's break down what each stage actually looks like. So the foundation is where most founders either build strength or they build struggle. Right. This stage is all about clarity and structure. It's where you're going to document your SOPs, define ownership across your team, and understand your true delivery capacity. So if you skip this, right, growth will create chaos instead of momentum. So you want to think of this as your internal architecture, the rules, tools, and rituals that hold everything together. So without structure, you can't scale. You can only sprint. and sprinting doesn't last forever. So the question to ask here is, could someone new step in and deliver your product exactly how you would without asking you a single question? If not, right, the answer is no on that. Your foundation isn't really for growth yet. So once your foundation is solid, you get to move into delivery, where your systems meet the customer experience. This is where execution becomes your reputation. So your operational rhythm, team coordination, and customer quality assurance define how your brand feels to the outside world. So delivery is the bridge between promise and proof. If your delivery system is inconsistent, if it doesn't matter how good your product is, customers will feel that friction. So this stage is about ensuring every client, every order, every user gets the same excellence every time. So you want to ask yourself, can my team deliver a 5-star experience without my directional involvement? If the answer is no, that's your next scaling bottleneck. Now, once your delivery system is working, your next step is going to be to make it smarter. This is where insight and automation kind of take the lead here. So optimization, right? And a lot of it's very easy to think of as optimization as AI. And if you're thinking of it like that, that's perfectly fine. I give you permission to think when I say optimization, you say AI. And that's fine. What I would call your optimization system is you use the artificial intelligence optimization system. So optimization is about systems that learn and improve and adapt. So this is where data closes the loop and automation keeps the business flowing even when you're not watching, right? So you're not just running reports, you're building intelligence into your operations. So that's how you prevent bottlenecks before they appear. And it's how you protect your team from burnout while maintaining speed. So you want to remember automation doesn't replace humans, right? Automation is meant to free them to do higher value work. So you can't scale excellence without visibility. So data also is a big part here because data is meant to give visibility towards your awareness of the automation systems that you need that need to learn, improve, and adapt, right? And data closes that gap, closes that loop. Now, when you reach the scale stage here, the goal isn't to work harder, it's to work predictably. So this is the point where you stop managing chaos and you start managing rhythm. So your systems, your people, your tools, everything is meant to run in sync here. So at this level, your role as a founder is meant to shift from doer to designer of trust. Doer to designer of trust, right? So scale is about empowerment. So scale is about enabling your team to make decisions confidently because the systems support them. It's also about knowing that growth can happen without creating more work. So your company becomes a self-sustaining loop, learning, optimizing, and scaling continuously. So when you get here, you've built not just a business, but an operating model that can kind of outgrow you. But even with that growth, it still reflects your standards. And that's the goal in scaling there. So here's what this is how the story kind of becomes math. I want to support you on your math. So every founder is going to reach a moment where they realize they don't actually know how much their team can actually deliver. So the question I would ask you and ask you to ask yourself is, do you know your true company capacity? Not your ambition, not your revenue goal, not your expenses, not your overhead, but the actual numbers of hours, effort, and people required to deliver what you've promised at the quality that you want it delivered. And this is your delivery capacity. Capacity is the invisible limit between excellence and exhaustion, right? It's the most successful, in my opinion, the most successful companies in the world, from professional to product to brick and mortar, maintain capacity around 80 to 85%, not 100%. But because once you cross 85% capacity, quality is going to start to drop. Queue times are going to start to get longer, start to explode, and burnout is going to begin. So before you chase growth, you have to ask, can your current system actually handle the growth that we're anticipating? What capacity number are we at? So, and kind of, you want to think of this of when you exceed capacity, the first cracks aren't in your revenue. They're going to be in your people, and it's going to be in your reputation. Then it's going to be in your revenue. So usually people don't do anything until it affects their revenue, but the bad has already happened by that point. So when success comes faster than your systems, right? Like, how do we get to this capacity number? When success is coming faster than your systems are ready for, it will not feel like winning. It will never feel like winning. And I love when my clients, and I see founders in awareness of their winning, right? It usually feels like drowning when you have success faster than you have systems. So when demand exceeds capacity, four predictable things tend to happen. One is breaks in coordination. So you start to see that people start stepping on each other's work. Second is workflow complexity. So every process suddenly needs 5 approvals instead of 1, right? It just always seems to be a bottleneck to get to complete. And then 3 is premature expansion. So you hire too quickly. Oh, we just need this person. Oh, if we just had a VA, or if I just had a this, right? And you really haven't done any alignment or documentation around that expansion. And the one we're used to seeing is when we have team burnout. So that's your best people. I'm not really talking about your junior level and your quick hires, but your best people start quietly disengaging, not even quitting, just disengaging, not activated, and they're awesome. So that all those 4, and sometimes if all 4 are working together, it challenges your growth. Your growth is going to become fragile. And if you don't design for this stage, right, your delivery system becomes your bottleneck. So when we think about our example, Maya, this was her story, right? Her growth outpaced her readiness. And the goal isn't to stop the growth, right? It's to make sure that your system can carry the growth. Every founder pays what I kind of call the hidden tax on growth. You don't see it on your balance sheet, but it shows up in kind of these 3 places, right? Lost customers. Usually you're losing customers because your quality has slipped. Missed opportunities, usually because the team is too busy to innovate. And then preventable burnout, right? No one knows what to drop or what to delay or what they're doing. So the heartbreaking part is all of this is avoidable. But companies that plan for capacity easily avoid about 90% of these issues. Like, we know that the data tells us if companies prevent and plan for growth, and have a preventative mindset around these principles, then usually they avoid about 90% of the issues that come from this. And they don't grow by hiring faster. They usually grow by designing smarter. So you ever see those lean teams and they're just killing it and they're growing and their revenue and people look like they've gotten sleep, right? It's usually because they've built an infrastructure that supports these things, right? And that's why capacity isn't just an operational number, it's a leadership tool. So it tells you when to hire, when to automate, and when to pause. So how do you find your capacity? It's a bit simpler than you think, in my opinion. So I kind of play it out from hours times cost times people usually equals your delivery capacity. So Rakia, what does that mean? So first you want to start with hours available. You want to take into account meetings, culture time, right? The time to align and be and create culture, and admin overhead. Then you want to multiply that by the cost of people and by the cost and people that power it, right? The people that it takes to deliver at your expected quality. And keep expected quality in mind. I'm aware that you can do everything with just one person. And there's a quality level that touches that. And then there's a quality level of what it looks like when two people do it. And you, as founder with vision and awareness, have a belief of the quality you want to see at every turn, no matter what. And that takes a certain number of people and a certain amount of time. And that's what you want to get honest on. It's not so much about, oh, it just takes one person to package this, or it takes one person to stand up this platform, or it takes one person to onboard our client. But if I really had it at the level of exception and excellence that I wanted, it probably would be 4 people on that discovery call or that onboarding call. It probably would be 2 people delivering that product, one packaging it and, one making sure that it gets shipped a particular way. Right? So it's actually getting really honest about the expected quality and walking that back against your people in time and cost. That's your real bandwidth. And if your team is consistently operating above that limit, you're not scaling, you're overloading. So if you know that it takes 4 people to do something times 5 hours, right? Then, that 20 hours of bandwidth, and you have one person right now doing it, and it takes them 2 hours, well, you as the founder get to know that you're not scaling and you're overloading. It doesn't seem like it. It took them 2 hours. There's a quality validation there, right? There's a culture validation there if you're creating a happy culture. And there's a scalability. Could this person do this continuously all the time? No, they'll get burned out, right? And overloading doesn't create profit. It really usually just creates turnover, inconsistency, and rework. So once you understand this formula, kind of growth becomes a strategic decision, not a gamble anymore. And because now you can see really the measure and control the weight your systems can carry. Okay, so let's go back. Let's see if we can get back to Maya and see how she's handling it. So this is the mindset shift that's going to separate sustainable founders from reactive ones. You calculate before you commit. So most founders are going to commit to growth goals. They're going to commit to client contracts. They're going to commit to team hires and team emotions. And they're going to commit emotionally. And then they're going to probably spend the next 6 months trying to make the math make sense. But scaling isn't about saying yes to more. It's about knowing what you can actually deliver well. Okay, so before you take on a new contract or launch a new program or open a new market, you want to ask, do I have the hours? Do I have the people? Do I have the process? And if you can't answer yes to all 3, hours, people, process, you're gambling with quality. Okay, so the smartest founders, we're not chasing opportunity, we're going to pace opportunity. Every decision that ignores capacity usually ends up costing you twice, once in rework, once in reputation. So this is where capacity mapping is going to become your most powerful growth tool. So if we break that down, how to actually measure this, capacity mapping is simple math with transformational impact. And I say that because it's simple math that's meant to shift your strategy, right? So if one customer takes 10 hours to serve, and your team collectively has 100 available hours, then your true delivery limit is 10 customers. That's it. When you visualize this through a capacity map, you can see exactly where your pressure kind of lives, because you're going to exist in red zones, meaning that you're overloaded. We have more customers than capacity, right? You're going to have blue zones that are going to mean underutilized resources. We have more team members than we have customers. We have more hours than we have customers. This delivery is going to change everything, because once you can see your capacity, you can design for balance. You can redistribute work. You can automate repetitive tasks, and you can protect your team's energy. Now you know the hours that your AI is supposed to be saving you so it can manage your customer capacity. And that's how we scale intelligently, not emotionally. Okay. So one of the biggest misconceptions about scaling is that it's a straight line. It's supposed to be going like this, right? And I challenge you to believe that it's not. Scaling is layers, right? So growth happens in predictable stages: foundation, early scale, growth, enterprise. At each stage, your delivery system must evolve. So your tools, your roles, your data, your metrics, and even your meeting cadence. What worked at 10 customers will collapse at 50. What carries you at 50 won't sustain you at 500. That's not failure. Remember, it's evolution. So if you can't anticipate what breaks at each stage, you can't rebuild before crisis hits. You have to wait till something bad happens. And I'm telling you, there's a more fun life than there's a life that is far more fun than that allows you to scale in preparation as a founder than being in crisis mode and then saying, oh, that crisis, at least it got us this, right? But I promise you there was a more strategic way to go about it. And that's how companies like Stripe and Pipedrive and even service companies scaling to 100 million plus delivery ecosystem. So your delivery system is made up of two engines: input systems, things that feed demand, marketing, sales, lead flow, and then output systems, things that deliver on that demand, fulfillment, customer success, communication. So if your inputs grow faster than your outputs can handle, then when burnout, churn, and rework appear, mapping this ecosystem helps you spot imbalance early. So it shows where automation can help, where team structure needs adjusting, and where data needs to flow more freely. So when you see your business as a living system, not a set of departments, you can really design it to grow organically. You can design it to be sustainable and profitable. So this is where Maya, our case study, is finally found where she needed to be, right? She finally understood that she needed to be here. She needed to map out her delivery system a bit better. Okay. So this is where we left Maya. This is the moment every growing founder that we come across faces. It's the moment when success stops feeling like success, right? So Maya had done everything right. She had product market fit. She had an amazing offer. She had a community that believed in her. Then came her moment, right? 1,000 new users signed up in 1 week. So instead of celebration, though, Maya had chaos. Her team was manually onboarding every customer, systems were crashing, and quality started to slip. She didn't fail because of lack of effort, right? She failed because success outpaced her systems. That's the moment she kind of realized growth without delivery intelligence isn't growth. Growth without delivery intelligence isn't growth. It's collapse in slow motion. So this requires us to make a decision when we're at this point. It's to stop reacting and start architecting. Okay, so we're rebuilding now. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to map capacity. So that looks like looking at every process: onboarding, customer communication, reporting, and measuring how many hours each part of that requires, getting really honest about that. We want to discover where our team could manually support only, some of our customers, not all of our customers, right? For Maya, she needed to discover that her team could manually support only 120 customers, not the 1,000 customers that she had that just signed up. That single realization can change everything. Just knowing your capacity number. You know what? We actually only had capacity for 120 out of the 1,000. That shifts your focus as a founder and a business owner of what you need to do. Because once you can see the constraint, you can solve it. So prioritizing high value customers first. This is what Maya did, right? So, so prioritize high value customers first, paused lower impact activities, and used a map to plan automation. Now, if you've been with us these past couple of weeks, you have an ICP and you have an ICP journey map. You know the steps that your customer takes. So it looks like taking that map and letting it be data to you and seeing where in that automation, where in that flow of that customer can be automated to give some hours back to you or staff to advance your delivery capacity. See how that feels a lot better than saying we need to hire? So that's what we want to do here. So this is the moment when delivery stops being emotional and really becomes operational. And that's you really putting the magnifying glass on and saying, where are our blockers and where don't we have capacity where we need it? Now, her next move was automation. So here we're not talking about replacing team, but we're talking about protecting team and giving capacity back to team. So for Maya's sake, we're talking about automating 70% of her onboarding process using a simple form, some triggered emails, and a customer portal that walked users through the setup experience. Now that single system gave her team back more than 40 hours a week. And now we have those hours to give to allow them to focus on what mattered most, which was helping customers succeed once they got on the platform, not managing spreadsheets just to get them on. Now, the key here is to automate what repeats, not what requires relationship. Relationship is where quality gets to sit. But automation handles consistency. Humans handle connection. Okay? And when you combine those, it's really great. So you really want to step into step 3 of this is about scaling team from that belief of automation. So now we gave them a good structure of automation. Now we're scaling, right? So that is a kind of a rule that I always like to see where we call kind of that 30, 60, 90 framework for your team. So when you have a team member come on, that team member in the first 30 days, they need to learn the system. They need to learn what excellence looks like and how things flow. By 60 days, they need to contribute, finding small ways to refine and improve what already exists. They can do that if they had a successful 30 days. And by 90 days, they lead, right? They're taking full ownership of outcomes, not just tasks. This structure transforms onboarding from chaos into culture, right? It's meant to make success built into repeatable processes, and it's meant to give team the confidence to deliver without needing oversight, right? And then from there, we want to figure out a beautiful feedback loop. That's the power of being a good leader, is being able to listen, refine, and repeat. Feedback isn't drama to me. Feedback is data. So when when your delivery map is documented, feedback doesn't feel personal. It becomes directional. It shows you exactly which part of the system to refine without disrupting everything else. So when you have this 30, 60, 90 rule, learn, contribute, lead, and then what leading looks like at the first step is feedback, right? Then you as founder get to listen, refine, and repeat. And that is a beautiful scalable loop, SOP driven loop that allows you to grow and scale successfully, right? And this is what transformation looks like. So imagine now Maya, a few months later, and with a team that was scrambling, now no longer scrambling. They were scaling, but now they're scaling with clarity, capacity, understanding, and calm. They can speak to their capacity. And remember, no one is ever beyond 85%. Onboarding was automated, so now we're ready to take on customers at any turn, right? Our scalability is now protected. Delivery metrics were visible in real time, right? We can always see the capacity metrics of our company. Customer satisfaction was up 40%. And the stats that I'm giving you are average stats that we see when we talk about companies that have a higher level of automation. This is how they usually compare to companies that don't. Right, so Maya's our perfect example. So, but usually what we usually see is a strong advancement in customer satisfaction, usually up about 40%. And 100% burnout, team burnout, absolutely gone. And one of the hardest things about being a startup of any kind or a small business is team burnout. So I'm giving you kind of that perfect equation of what it takes for you to get to know that you are protected against team burnout, right? So we went from firefighting to flow. We went from chaos to control. That's the power of delivery intelligence. Because when your systems really work, your people thrive. And when your people thrive, your customers stay. Okay, so let's ground this entire conversation in numbers that matter most, because scaling isn't just about doing more. Remember, it's about measuring better. So here are 3 metrics that tell you if your delivery system is healthy, right? So 1, your activation rate. This is your earliest indicator of customer success. A 25% improvement in activation correlates to a 34% increase in recurring revenue. Okay. So what activation rate is going to tell you is if your onboarding is actually working. Second to that is utilization. This measures how effectively your team's time is being used. The sweet spot is 80 to 85%. So below 80% means you're underperforming. Your team is underperforming, and you get to figure out the bottleneck of that. Above 85%, your team is burning out, and you get to figure out the cause of that. Balance is the metric of sustainability here when we talk about utilization. And then your net revenue retention, your NRR, net revenue retention. This shows the strength of your relationships. So companies with 100 to 10 or 100 to 20% NRR don't grow through acquisition. They tend to grow through loyalty. So if we can keep 100 to 10 to 100 to 20% net revenue retention, then our company is always going to grow because we have strong and loyal relationships. So these 3 numbers together tell you whether you're ready to scale or if you're about to break, right? When you know your metrics, you don't have to guess how growth will feel, right? You can really forecast what your growth will be. And that's what the smartest founders do, right? They don't just build for where they are, they build for what's next. They design their delivery systems to handle at least 1.5x of their current size. So if we have 100 customers now, we need to make sure that we can manage at least 250, right? And if you're our client, we, depending on what metric and market opportunity we have, we actually build to your market opportunity. Because by the time those systems are live, growth will have already caught up, right? So that's what Maya learned. That's what our founders that come to us learn. And what I really want you to, and that's to build in anticipation, not reaction. And to stay in rhythm, that's a positive roadmap. That means you have a good development roadmap when you're building in rhythm, not recovery. So scaling is not about speed. It is about stability that can handle speed. So if your systems can deliver with consistency and your customers become your sales team and your team becomes your advantage and your growth becomes predictable, so that's a lot of fun. I'm here to tell you. So it's a good time. So but how we do that is we build with 1.5x ahead of ourselves. And that's how you turn hustle into harmony. And growth, that's how you turn growth into grace. And if you get to know me a bit more, my favorite thing about growing is growing gracefully, right? And when systems scale, right, your vision also, remember our vision work we've done in week 1, your vision finally has room to breathe when you have a scalable system. So now I won't leave you to just, with your notes, and I hope you took some, but I want to move this into your business. So like I said, we've been doing this. This is I believe our 7th week. This is a 20-week dedication to founder lock-in. So thank you for joining us. If you haven't watched our previous recordings, we are currently uploading them all to YouTube and to LinkedIn for them to be accessible for more people. But joining us live means that you get the first release of our worksheets, and we're delivering a worksheet after every one of these courses. The whole point of these weeks is by the end of it, you've done everything that we do for our clients over the course of our 10-week pilot accelerator that we have at Copper and Vine. So this is giving you what others pay for, just in a slower work, and you got to do the work yourselves, but we try to make it as easy as possible. So if you want this to just to live, there's some homework for you, and that's where you'll turn everything we've covered into your own delivery intelligence blueprint. So here's what you'll do. If you scan, and I think give us a little bit till after we're done with this session, and we'll launch the worksheet. So it's not on there now, but when the session is over, it will be. But what you get to do is you'll map your capacity, how many customers or deliveries your team can realistically handle before quality starts to slip, right? And then you're going to be designing your delivery flow, the inputs and processes and outputs that define how your business delivers excellence every single time. So this exercise will show you exactly where growth is being blocked, not by ideas or effort, but by systems. And once you see it, you'll know what to fix next, because scale doesn't start with selling more, right? It starts with us building smarter. So that's what it'll be meant to do for you. So as we close, I just want you to walk away with our kind of 4 takeaways from today's session. That's 1, you scale from systems, not hustle. Right, so hard work built your foundation, and congratulations, you've done an amazing job. But systems will build your freedom, and I'm here to build your freedom. B is capacity before growth, always, right? If you don't know your limits, growth will expose them. So you want to measure first and you want to scale second. We want to automate with empathy. Automation is not about removing humans. It is about removing friction. Focus on AI helping you to reduce those barriers and give you time back. Let machines handle the repetitive so your team can focus on requires heart, right? And then quality creates speed. The myth is that you have to choose between going fast and doing great work. And the truth is, quality is what makes speed possible. So as you grow, keep these principles as your compass, because the goal isn't just about a big scale, but it's about scaling better, right? So this is how we hope that you'll move from delivery as a task to delivery as your company's greatest differentiator. All right. So if you're sitting here realizing that your systems kind of need to evolve a bit more, that's the exact moment scale kind of begins. At Copper and Vine, this is what we do every day. We help founders build smarter systems that grow with them, compliant, clear, and deeply aligned with their mission. So whether you're a service provider, a platform founder, or you're scaling a tech product, our goal is simple. We are meant to help you move from working in your business to engineering how it runs. So if you're ready to accelerate your next phase, feel free to scan that QR code, and we'll help you architect what's next. Awesome. So next week, we will take everything you've built here, your model, your capacity map, your feedback loop, and we're going to translate it into your delivery system's blueprint. So we'll focus on the mechanics of consistency. So at this stage, your growth is meant to depend on how you deliver, right? It's going to be built on how predictably and sustainably you can do it every single time. So think of it as turning your excellence into a repeatable asset, one that scales without diluting what makes your business unique. So I'm excited to have you there. So it should feel like a double click from today. So if you tell anyone to come next week, make sure you tell them to watch this recording this week so they have what they need to be awesome. And don't forget, I say it after every session. I hope you understand that I mean it. You have permission to lead a really big idea, to build something that doesn't compromise your values just to grow faster. You have the ability to create systems that serve your vision instead of systems that drain it. Scaling isn't about becoming someone new, right? It's about building an infrastructure strong enough to carry the person in the business you already are and to carry it further. So go build that big idea. I look forward to helping you do it, and I hope you do it with intention. Thank you for showing up today. Thanks for your time. Thanks for your curiosity, your commitment to building better. Thank you so much. Every founder who scales successfully has one thing in common. They make the invisible visible. That's what you've done today, right? So as you go back into your business, do me a favor and remember, systems don't slow you down. They make your speed repeatable. Go build with purpose, go build and go lead with confidence. And most of all, go be great. All right. Thank you so much. And I'm so grateful for your time. I'll see you next week.